Coming up from AirVenture in Oshkosh, some neat new airplanes and some really neat old ones, too.
We're upping the fight on FBO fees and Women Soar. AOPA Live this week starts in just a moment.
Celebrate 20 years with Sonex Aircraft by building and flying your dream. Quick handling, fun, and capable kit aircraft models to suit your flying passions. Get the best performance per dollar with Sonex Aircraft.
This is AOPA Live This Week with Tom Haynes and Melissa Rudinger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AirVenture 2018, the world's biggest and happiest aviation gathering. So far, the weather is cooperating, and it looks like it's going to be another record-breaking year.
Yep, EAA has declared that this is the year of the tanker in honor of the Air Force Reserve's 70th anniversary. So they've filled Boeing Square with the big flying gas stations, a KC-135, a KC-10, an HC-130PN. And during the Saturday air show, tankers will drag several fighters and a B-1 bomber down the flight line, tanking the whole way for the enjoyment of the crowd.
But those aren't the only big birds in the square. This 757 with strange appendage is a Honeywell's flying test bed. And this is the first time it's flown a turboprop leached to its side. And the first time this member of the Honeywell fleet has been to AirVenture.
But for a lot of folks here at Oshkosh, it's a return trip, and for many, a family affair.
I've been coming to Oshkosh since 1974 when I came with my grandfather. He'd been coming for many years before that, even when it was in Rockford. And I've been coming most years since then.
And what used to be known as just Oshkosh, and now AirVenture, has just grown and grown and grown.
It's our 49th consecutive year here in Oshkosh. It's our 66th annual convention, and I bet the pop quiz for today is, at that first convention, how many planes and people were at that air show? 150.
Sunday alone, 3,000 airplanes flew in this year. The campgrounds are full, and happy campers are all around the grounds, experiencing the wonders of general aviation.
But there are still some big issues facing general aviation. The threat of privatization and user fees has been beaten back for a few years if all goes as forecast in Congress. But there's another fee issue that's now at the forefront of AOPA's advocacy: outrageous fees levied on GA pilots by a small number of FBOs.
And AOPA is sharply focused on this. And to say that our president, Mark Baker, is highly energized, well, that would be putting it mildly, folks.
So, Mark, one of the comments we get from people sometimes is, well, what's the big deal? Just go to another airport. If you don't like the pricing at this one, go somewhere else.
Well, when I get that answer, you don't have to come to this airport. Whose airport is it? It's the public's airport. It was built with public money, 5,100 some odd airports around this country. A wonderful ecosystem and infrastructure that doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet. And then to be told that, well, if you don't like the price, don't come here. Wait a second. If you just give me an alternative place to park, I don't need your cookie or your popcorn or any of your facility. I don't want to pay for it. And I think we've got every right. Matter of fact, we have a responsibility to keep aviation the access port, way to get to the community. We're not going to take just go to a different airport as the answer. That is not an acceptable answer from AOPA or from aviator out here. We should have access to that port, whether it's alternative or through the gate or at a reasonable fee, one way or the other.
Now, the vast majority of FBOs do a great job for general aviation, and all we're asking for is transparency. We want to know what the fees are and access to the public airport without paying for things we don't need. Guess what? Treating GA pilots fairly is good business.
You've got to be able to price fairly. I have found, after taking over our FBO a few years ago, the more you price fuel fairly, the more fuel people buy. And so, you might lose a little margin on it, but at the same time, the quantity usually makes up for that difference. So that's a big component of it, is it just makes sense from a market perspective to be fair to people. It's also, it's interesting. I've found that, a lot of people worry, in some of these bigger FBOs, it's all about the jets, right? It's all about the corporate customers. It's amazing, though, the number of people who happen to be corporate aircraft operators who also happen to fly a 150 or an RV or any number of other smaller piston aircraft that are coming in, and they're going to rate your FBO how, they may not fly their corporate global in because they had a bad experience in their 150, and you had no idea how you were treating them. So from my perspective, it doesn't matter what size of aircraft you're flying in, how much fuel you're buying. You treat everybody well. You treat people equally. You're fair.
So again, news, customer service matters, right? You treat people fairly, they're probably willing to pay for more and buy more from your location, but at the end of the day, it still has to be reasonably priced, or that's not good customer service otherwise.
Common sense, you would think.
Yeah, you would. Okay, but hey, now back to some of the fun flying. For many pilots, a large part of the AirVenture experience is the flight to Oshkosh. AOPA editor-at-large Dave Hirschman flew in with a covey of military trainers this year.
Coming to EAA AirVenture in Oshkosh is an amazing experience no matter how you get here. This year I flew to Oshkosh using the Warbird Arrival with a flight of 5 Cicada TB-30 Epsilons. The Epsilon is a French military trainer. We flew the Epsilons into Oshkosh using the Warbird Arrival. The Warbird Arrival is much simpler than the single-ship VFR Arrival to Oshkosh. To complete the arrival, first we flew over the city of Fond du Lac to make the first radio call.
Oshkosh Tower, Epsilon, flight of 5 airplanes, Fond du Lac.
From there we were cleared to Warbird Island, a small island on Lake Winnebago. After a few minutes of holding, we were cleared for runway 36 left at Oshkosh.
Epsilon flight, proceed direct to the airport. You're going to land on the big runway now. Proceed direct to the 36 left at this time.
The Warbird Arrival at Oshkosh is pretty simple and straightforward, as long as you don't get stuck behind a massive flight of Moonies.
Doc 72, understand you are scheduled to come into Oshkosh after a flight of 60 Moonies that are about 10 miles from the field.
But no matter how long it takes, it's worth the wait to land at the world's largest air show. Dave Hirschman, AOPA Live.
So Dave's trip to Oshkosh started off the wing of my Bonanza. We took off from Frederick, 3 of us, Bonanza, Epsilon on each wing, and in the first leg we were VFR and had a great time just flying along. They were having some fun off my wingtips, and it was a good time had by all. It was an unusual way to come to Oshkosh, though, I got to tell you.
And I saw you posted some of those pictures, and I was very jealous.
It was quite an experience.
And once again this year, we are sharing some of the best seats in the house with AOPA members. We're right here across from the famous Brown Arch, easy to find. If you're coming to AirVenture, please drop by the AOPA tent. But of course, there's a lot more to do, so we sent our Paul Moses out to find some of the ways folks are celebrating our freedom to fly.
It's a week many of us look forward to all year. That chance to escape our daily routine, the daily grind, and just dream. The real beauty is you're not alone. Airframes of all shapes and sizes. Aviators, the same.
The whole community comes together to celebrate, share, and have a lot of fun. And I think that's really important for AOPA to be part of that. And then talk about our mission, what things are important about protecting the freedom to fly, what AOPA is all about.
For the last several years, defeating ATC privatization and user fees have been the talk of this town.
This year, however, the AOPA tent has a new design and a new message focused on state-of-the-art tools and training, including our desktop simulation pavilion.
Pilot Workshops is sponsoring a simulator experience to learn about desktop simulation, how that can enhance your flying skills, help you as you build towards ratings and so forth. So really for the serious aviator, the student pilot, the licensed pilot that wants to go further, utilizing desktop simulators, it's a chance to build your skills so that when you do get into the actual aircraft, it's there.
4 different You Can Fly initiatives are going gangbuster, focused on educating high schoolers, better flight training, new flying clubs, and getting rusty pilots back in the air.
We just had all our high school teachers in, our 9th and 10th grade teachers in at the You Can Fly Academy this summer. They are ready to go with the curriculum this fall. We've helped start over 85 brand new flying clubs now. We're building customer experience training for our flight schools, and we just had our 5,000th rusty pilot come back in the left seat. So we're getting a lot of results, and we're working really hard at You Can Fly headquarters.
Take a look around and you'll find everything from pipers to, well, pipers. It's also the year of the tanker. How about a Viking CL-215 EAF, or Enhanced Aerial Firefighter?
On this aircraft, it holds about 1,450 gallons. We shoot your normal approach and your normal landing. As soon as we touch down, we go to full power. We deploy the probes in 12 seconds, fills the tanks, off we go and take off and bomb the fire.
There's a swelling of interest in aviation right now, whether it's for career, just general interest. The economy is pretty darn good. People are feeling like they can get back in this game or join this game and create this fraternity of aviators. So I'm excited about the energy I feel in the interest and the participation in aviation. I think it's certainly better than any time in the last 10 years, and it continues to build.
Indeed, something to look forward to. Paul Moses, AOPA Live.
So it really does feel very positive here this week. I've talked to a bunch of manufacturers. They're having a good year so far. Piper announced some really good numbers. The modifiers that I've talked to are doing some really good stuff, and so they're feeling very positive.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I think the crowds are tremendous this year. Much more, feels more crowded.
Yeah,
it feels more energy.
It's good crowd out here this week. And AOPA members are enthusiastic about their sweepstakes Super Cup. A lot of you tell us to take good care of your airplane, and don't worry, we are. It's in the capable hands of project manager Alyssa Cobb, and she treats it as if it were hers alone. We asked her to bring us up to speed on the project.
The aircraft weighs 1,158 pounds. Now originally this 1954 Super Cub came out of the factory at 999 pounds, so we're just about 160 pounds over its original weight, but it's not bad considering we have about 30-some STC mods to the aircraft. It's a 160 horsepower Lycoming 0320 engine, and it is one smooth running engine. The newest addition to the Sweepstakes Super Cub, just 2 weeks ago they got installed are the AmSafe airbag seat belts. And so the airbag actually comes out of the left seat belt and inflates away from the pilot. And that's just another safety feature that we wanted to add to the Super Cub. First thing people say when they pop their head inside the Super Cub's cockpit is, wow. They are just amazed by the panel. The number one question that we get about the Super Cub is this little horizontal piece of metal. It's called a tail strake, and it's part of the VG kit. The STC that we got from Cub Crafters. And so if you notice on top of our wings, toward the leading edge, we have vortex generators, and the tail strake serves the same purpose back here instead of having a row of vortex generators underneath. The newest addition that we have to the Sweepstakes Super Cub are our skis. They're hydraulic skis, so you're going to be able to operate on runways or on snowy fields. The skis can pump up and down so that you can operate on either. The Tundra tires that we have on the aircraft right now are the 26-inch Alaskan bush wheels. And I've gotten a chance to tour their company, actually. They make all of these Tundra tires by hand. They are truly craftsmen of what they do. I'm having a tremendous amount of fun flying the airplane. I've had it from Montana to Florida to Maryland, back out to Montana. I got to do some mountain flying in it in Idaho, and I'm looking forward to getting back in it here after Oshkosh. It's been about a month break out of it, and I'm already missing it. I might cry when I have to give it away, honestly.
We'll award the AOPA Sweepstakes Super Cub to some very lucky pilot next summer. So, the judge of how much people like the airplane is how worn the grass is underneath it, okay? When we parked the airplane the other day, nice and green, there's no grass left now.
Completely worn down.
So, anyhow, that tells you how much people really like this airplane, and it is cool. I got to say,
it's a winner
it's
for
hard
sure.
to believe 1954 airplane that looks like that.
It is beautiful. As Alyssa mentioned, the Super Cub is equipped with AmSafe airbags. This week, the FAA formally presented the company with an STC for SOARS, or state-of-the-art restraint system. With that, the safety system can be installed on some 541 models from Pipers to Twin Commanders. That's a wide range of Part 23 aircraft.
We had to look at the type cert data sheet, certification bases, etc. So in doing so, we're able to accumulate 540 different model of aircraft which this one system is applicable to at a price point which is less than half of some of the original systems that exist today. So the only way to get there is through the adjustments of the rules and the work that we've done with the FAA.
The airbags deploy in 50 milliseconds if the sensor detects a rapid longitudinal deceleration.
And as I said earlier, Piper was pumped at AirVenture. The company announced some big successes for 2018 so far, including an 11% uptake in sales of the M-Class aircraft. But the big jump in sales is in the Piper trainers, more than double compared to the first half of last year. Piper says the order book stretches to the third quarter of 2019. A little higher up the food chain, Dar announced its 900th aircraft delivery of a TBM at 930. The latest edition of the Speedy turboprop now comes with heated seats.
The TBM 900 is just one of a bunch of airplanes that fly behind the Pratt & Whitney PT6. Here at AirVenture, the company says it will expand its ability to help customers plan their maintenance. The Canadian engine company recently received supplemental type certification approval for its Fast Solution maintenance program on the entire air tractor line, which wirelessly transmits engine aircraft data to the company, providing customers with actionable advice. Soon, a new detailed oil analysis technology will be unveiled for customers. Pratt says 48,000 of its engines power some 130 different models. The turboprop model will top more than 395 million flight hours this year.
Planes International unveiled its new two-seat airplane kit here at AirVenture. Like their Mako, the company is hoping its Barracuda will take a bite of the market for two-seaters. Calling it an entry-level aircraft, the two-place Barracuda will cruise at 200 knots and cost about $200,000. And like the Mako, the Barracuda will feature an auto-retractable nose gear. It's powered by Lycoming's four-cylinder, 210-horsepower O390X engine, which at top cruise speed sips a mere 11 to 13 gallons per hour for that 200 miles per hour. And as for avionics, it'll include a Garmin G3X touchscreen as well as the GTN 750 Navigator. Options include air conditioning, ice protection, and more.
Coming up after the break, a young lady with old-time dream.
And Wichita takes months, here it's a week. You're watching AOPA Live this week from Oshkosh.
You always knew it was your perfect airplane. Now it can have the perfect panel. Garmin G500 TXI and Garmin G600 TXI, the next generation of flight displays.
Welcome back to Oshkosh and AirVenture 2018. As we mentioned before, there really is a palpable excitement about aviation here, and it looks like aviation is again a growth industry, at least when it comes to jobs.
That's what Boeing says. Each year, the company forecasts the job market for pilots, aviation technicians, and cabin crew members, and the outlook is spectacular.
The demand for civil aviation pilots. Over the next 20 years, the industry will need about 790,000 new pilots, or nearly 40,000 per year. In the United States alone, there's over 8,000 commercial pilots that will retire in the next 5 years.
If you like working with your hands, the industry will need some 38,000 new mechanics and technicians a year, and there will be plenty of opportunities for cabin crew members too. In all, more than 2 million jobs through 2037.
And while there are plenty of job openings for new pilots and aviation technicians, there aren't enough young people in the pipeline to fill them. Oklahoma Senator Jim Inhofe says he plans to introduce a bill to help solve that problem. SARA, or the Securing and Revitalizing Aviation Act, would provide grants to educate pilots and develop high school aviation curriculum. The bill would provide new protections for pilots, too. We'll have an interview with Senator Inhofe and more on this important legislation in our Saturday show.
Able Flight offers people with disabilities a unique way to challenge themselves through flight and aviation career training, helping them gain greater self-confidence and self-reliance. This week at AirVenture, Able Flight recognized the class of 2018 at their wings pinning ceremony. Our team spoke to a couple of the recent graduates to hear about the impact of the program has made on them.
I had the opportunity and I have my license now. I feel like I have the freedom, the space to go and you know, wherever I want to.
The fact that Able Flight was able to provide me with a full scholarship to get my license is, you know, you can't put it into words. You know, I think it's important to give when you can, you know, and so for me, it's my opportunity to be able to be helped, but more importantly, I want to help down the line somebody else and pay it forward, so to speak.
Congratulations to the Able Flight class of 2018. We look forward to following your adventures in aviation.
Lots of attention on British aviation here at AirVenture this year with the 100th anniversary of the Royal Air Force. But one Brit traveled here to share his own inspirational story. Stephen Robinson is from Leeds, England. At 18, he lost his right arm in a horrific motorcycle accident that almost claimed his life. But instead of letting it slow him down, Stephen went on to earn a degree in computer science, invent one of the world's first digital jukeboxes, and he took on a millionaire who tried to steal his idea, and he won. If that weren't enough, he overcome his fear of flying, created his own prosthetic arm, and 3 years ago, earned his wings.
When I lost my right arm, I could still feel my arm. And at that moment, I realized, although I could feel it, it wasn't there. And I also realized that the fears that I had weren't there. They were just in my mind. And the idea of not being able to do things was holding me back.
Now, Stephen flies aerobatics and, among other things, travels the world as an inspirational speaker, encouraging others to pursue their passions and live their dreams.
The thing with me is, I've never had a plan of my life. I've never thought, this is what I want to do next. This is my next goal. All I am is open to opportunities. So if somebody says to me, Steve, why did you come to America and speak in the world's biggest aviation event at Oshkosh? I say, why not? Who knows what opportunities may come from this? The one thing that is certain, if I'd stayed at home and I hadn't come, no opportunities would arise from it.
Stephen has also been awarded the British Empire Medal and the Douglas Bader Trophy, which is named for the Royal Air Force pilot who became an ace despite losing his legs in an airplane crash years earlier.
One of the big hits here is the 1 week wonder, the group effort to build a whole airplane in 1 week. This year, the crowds at Oshkosh are building a Vans RV-12, one volunteer and one rivet at a time.
One of the significant pieces is to really highlight to people that building an aircraft is something that you can do, that it's achievable, that these kits are so well manufactured that, come here, walk in, volunteer, help, pull a rivet, and see that, the hurdle is not what you may think that it is, and it's to get people engaged in that.
Some home builds can be completed in a week, others take years. Authentic restorations, though, can take decades. Tom Kazura has taken on just such a project. He is showing off his progress to date on a Sopwith Camel, a World War I single-seat biplane fighter aircraft. Believe it or not, he started with just the original panel clock and has horse-traded and crafted his way to the rest over the last 18 years. The original Kleggert's 9B rotary engine has also been meticulously restored.
About 15 years ago, I started on this Camel. I bought a clock, and it turned out the clock was a dash clock for a Sopwith Camel. And then I found a compass, and that clock and that compass, they were the Garmin 1000 of 1918. Now, here we are 100 years later, so I'm like, I want to put an airplane together. So I bought the wooden panel, cut it out, bought the original drawings, and started making an airplane. For years and years, I just collected parts and built things, but I thought, well, I'll never find an engine. And one day, a gentleman who was in the EAA with me, he said, I have a World War I airplane engine. We went to his house, and what he had was a Gnome Omega, which is a very primitive, early form of the rotary engine. And so I restored that, brought it here to Oshkosh a couple years ago, ran it, and a museum in Paris, France, saw that, and they needed it for their Blériot. So he said, hey, we'll trade you for a Clerget. So I did the trade, so then I had the engine, all the instruments, and the blueprints, so I'm forced into building the airplane. It's a very complex airplane, very difficult to build. And the nuts and bolts aren't made today. They're British standard fine. It's an unusual thread pattern that I had to have everything machined, so you couldn't go and buy anything commercially made. It had to all be handmade. I want it to be right. I'll build a part, I'll put it on. If I'm happy with it, we'll continue. I could have 3 or 4 of these now with all the parts I've thrown away that I'm just not happy with. But when I'm happy with it, it'll be finished and we'll fly it. And I'm thinking 2 or 3 more years. It will be a flyable, airworthy airplane. I'll fly it at shows. I'll take it to Dayton, I'll take it to Oshkosh and enjoy it that way. It's meant to be out here where people can enjoy it and see it fly.
If you come to Oshkosh without a favorite airplane, odds are you're only going to complicate your decision once you get here. We found one young lady who's made up her mind. Built in the 1930s, it's a biplane, the de Havilland Tiger Moth, that 20-year-old Hannah McLaughlin wants to own one day.
This is my dream airplane. I learned to fly because I wanted a Tiger Moth. I love biplanes, and this is just such a cool airplane with the history behind it, and the wings fold for storage, and that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just love everything about it. They're a great airplane. I only count 3 women at my airport, myself included, but if you just show up at the airport and start talking to people and offer to wash airplanes, pretty soon you'll be right into the community, and people will go, oh look, a young person, they'll take you under their wing, and you'll have basically a new family, extended family.
Currently, Hannah is building a Slop Starduster 2, She says she needs to finish that project before she goes out and seeks her own Tiger Moth.
Querer es poder. What she said is, to believe is power, and that's certainly the experience of Olga Castillo. She was the first Hispanic female to fly U.S. military aircraft, training young Air Force pilots in the supersonic T-38. And she busted through the ceiling again, becoming the first Hispanic female to fly a commercial airliner. Today, it's her mission to inspire young women of all backgrounds.
Find out as much as you can about aviation and see what you like. And if you do like it, find somebody that will talk to you about it, teach you, and kind of point you in the right direction, because you need someone to guide you. You know, when I started, there weren't mentors. There wasn't anybody like me, female or Hispanic for that reason. And to find role models nowadays, I think, is really important. And my platform now is to give back for the blessed, successful career that I've had and I've enjoyed with my family.
And we're making progress, but women are still underrepresented in the pilot population, but we hope not forever.
We've found a group of girls who sure are excited about aviation. AOPA Live's Jennifer Nahn has the story about these girls and the camp where they can dream about the future.
This week at AirVenture, over 70 young women have the opportunity to get fully immersed in aviation. They're here for a week-long camp called Women Soar, You Soar. It was created to inspire young women to pursue their dreams in aviation and beyond.
We like to empower the girls to believe in themselves and know that they can do whatever they want.
The young women are learning through a number of hands-on activities. One of the favorites was the chance to fly in a Grumman goose.
Well, I expected it to bounce like a rock does when it skips, but then when we got in, it was so smooth and it was amazing because I never expected there to be so much water splashing up on the windows and it still be able to fly well in the water.
So we were on the water and we just landed and you could feel it and you could hear it, and then we got to climb out and be on top of the wings to take pictures on the water. So it was amazing. Honestly, coolest flight ever.
I think it's probably the most amazing thing in my life that I have done so far.
And hopefully this week is just the beginning of a lifetime of aviation adventures for these young women. Some of them already have a clear idea of what they want to do in the future, like 16-year-old twin sisters Karina and Mayor Sandu.
I want to use the skill of aviation and flight to help others. My goal is to fly to other hospitals in under-resourced areas and be able to give them my help as a doctor. Becoming a pilot has always been a dream of mine, but I also love to write. And because I love to write, I want to be a journalist. And combining the power of writing and storytelling as well as aviation creates just such a beautiful combination.
And the sisters hope they can share their aviation dreams with each other.
Most people do not have the wonderful privilege to be able to fly with someone as close and as connected as twin sisters are. I look forward to spending my entire life flying with my twin sister.
The sisters are learning how to accomplish their goals from the mentors in the program.
I am so happy to meet my mentors because they are so accomplished and smart, and I want to be everything that they are when I grow up.
Throughout the week, the mentors shared their stories and talked about all the diverse opportunities in aviation.
If we can inspire these young ladies who are smart and enthusiastic, and we plant a seed for them to continue with this passion that they have, I think it's a great thing for Women Soar, You Soar. And so for me to be a part of that, that's what this whole week is about.
These young women are absolutely the future of aviation and whatever career field they choose. When I was young, I thought the only two options I had was air traffic control or a commercial airline pilot. I didn't know you could be in management, you could do medical work, be in the military. I had no idea. So the fact that they get this exposure this young is incredible.
Jennifer Nahn, AOPA Live.
So it's great to see the girls getting inspired, we hope. Some of them will maybe choose a career in aviation, or if nothing else, just learn to fly for recreational purposes.
It's exciting to see this, and I think that this is at least the second year they've done this, so I am glad to see that they're still at it.
Right. For far too long, we've had far too women in aviation. It's time to change that.
Very true.
That's a wrap for our first show from AirVenture. We'll be back tomorrow with a special edition of AOPA Live this week.
And another one on Saturday, so we hope you tune in, and thanks for watching AOPA Live this week.
Here at You Can Fly, our sole mission is to get people flying and keep them flying. Each of our 4 initiatives is designed to reach pilots at a critical point in their journey.
Please don't let general aviation fade away. Support the AOPA Foundation and the You Can Fly program.